We have Matt on the line.
Hi, folks. Good morning. Yeah, Matt Burch. I've been building things for about 20 years, and I've been AI first for the past year. So, Alex, to your question of what's really standing in the way for us to not have to review every PR, every line. Um, of course, people have mentioned a lot of great ideas that I think are going to be critical. Deterministic guidelines and as Fabian mentioned, I think as orchestrators, we're going to need to be aware of the main moving pieces, the roles and the responsibilities of the apps and the work that we're doing, and be able to speak to that to our clients, to our bosses, to whoever. I don't see that going away for a little while. Who knows though? But one thing I wanted to mention too is, when you think about what the journey has looked like to getting to the point where we can put a PRD in one end and get a production quality deliverable out the other, there's like three kind of milestones that we had to solve. And the first one was the context window size, right? So first it was we can't possibly put enough context into the window at one time for the model to be able to make the right decisions. And then, Gemini came along with a million tokens, with maybe 50% of that, 60% of that being usable, and now the context window size isn't really a problem. So then it became, well, how do we manage all this context? How do we manage context on long tail runs? And we saw with the Anthropic blog post about long running harnesses. I've built an orchestration system using a similar thing, of course, Ralph. And, so I think we're getting to the point now where the context management side, in terms of remembering things that were at the beginning of the project, are a lot easier problems to solve now. I think that was the other big piece. And I think the third one that maybe we haven't seen a lot of, but is the idea of scope decomposition, right? So if you have a lot of great deterministic checks in place, solid, dry, YAGNI, linters, TS errors, comprehensive tests, TDD approach, that's 90% of what you need to be able to create a PR, be generally aware of what's going on, and then merge it pretty confidently without feeling like production's going to explode. But one thing that I think is yet to come is taking that behemoth spec, that whole feature, PRD or whatever, and breaking it into smaller and smaller chunks that you can then distribute out to a model. And my logic is, if we give models less to do, but we horizontally scale them, and then we have some sort of deterministic method that stitches those things back together, I feel like that makes it even easier and more reliable to really feel confident about what we're delivering. So instead of giving a Ralph loop, a 3-page PRD, and go loop on this until you get it, it intelligently breaks it down. And I think doing something like that would also open us up to using lower powered models too. That's one thing I'm pursuing. I'm a big local inference guy. I've got a Mac studio over here, and I'm like determined to figure this out. So I think scope decomposition may be, from a conceptual standpoint, possibly another big thing that we would be missing for truly hands-off code that you can just push and have it work.
Thanks, Matt. What do you mean by PRD?
Oh, I'm sorry. A product request document. So just a piece of scope, a feature level spec, something that describes what needs to be built. So my orchestration system, Elves, is a Claude Code skill, and uses linear, as I'm sure a lot of us are using. And it's the source of truth, basically, for a piece of scope that needs to be implemented out the other side.
So can you, and I know there are other people waiting on, but just quickly pick your brain.
Sure.
Can you try and map that? Because okay, I spent a lot of many years uh, trying to learn how to do proper vertical slicing.
Mm.
How would you? Is that equivalent or something different from vertical slicing? The feature.
Well, so the way it works with Elves is that this PRD giant markdown file gets split up into individual tasks in linear. So Opus takes and converts that to any range of number of tasks and then those get pushed to beads and ultimately to linear. So that's kind of the first level of scope decomp that might be going on. I think it could go even lower than that, though, down to like, implement this function at this file. You need to implement this use effect, and here's these things, and just really kind of break it down into smaller and smaller pieces. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks. Sveta.
Okay.